Good morning, friends. I hope all of you are staying safe at home. Thank you very much for your support in joining us. I'm M. Anand from Sea Change Consulting, Chennai. We have been hosting a webinar every day, last 3 days. We started last week, of course, Sunday was a break. Until this lockdown period of 4.0, which is up to 30th, 31st. Up to 30th, we'll be hosting this webinar series. And after, of course, once the lockdown is lifted, we will see how it is going to unfold. So with that, I'd like to start the session. We have with us Mr. Vipul, who's the management and technical advisor. You could see him on the video. He's the founder of Consultants. He's going to take us through manufacturing and process optimization. And before I hand over this webinar session to him, I thought I'll quickly walk you through our organization. Sea Change Consulting is the name of the organization. We are hosting this webinar. We've been in the industry for 18 years now. We are basically a strategic business advisory consulting organization with more than 100 plus trainers, coaches, and consultants associated with us. You could see Mr. Prakash on the left side, myself, MK, on the right side. Both of us are the founders and partners. Mr. Prakash is the CEO of Sea Change Consulting and business and leadership coach for several entrepreneurs in the mid-cap and large enterprise organizations. Myself, Anand, I've been a strategic business advisor. I've been supporting MSME enterprise organizations. MSME is one of our post-COVID vision, I would call, which is ably supported with a mission statement, which is 3 words: survive, stabilize, and surge ahead is what we have coined. More than 500 projects we have done in the last 18 years with the support of all our expert panel members, including Mr. Rama Vallavan, who has done several projects for us. This is how we support our clients. We have 6 divisions. Each division handled one particular area of expertise, handled by a captain of the group. Then we have several consultants who are associated with each of the groups. And this is the organization strength. We have marketing partners who are called success partners, and we deal with about 15 business verticals. 1 billion people we touched in the last 18 years of our journey through various channels, workshops, programs, public workshops, individual programs, projects, and so on and so forth. Mr. Prakash has written several books for business people, entrepreneurs, on various subjects. More than 10 books so far he has written and published in few languages, including Tamil, Hindi, English, and so on and so forth. He has also developed content for peaceful parenting, which is quite, I guess, need of the hour, and self-development books, which are being used widely by the HR managers for their internal programs. And I have written a book co-authored a book called 36 Golden Rule, which is written specifically for entrepreneurs. And we have built consistently digital assets over the years, not during COVID days. Over the last 18 years, we have built digital assets, more than 400 videos of different business topics recorded and uploaded in our YouTube channel. A YouTube channel called Sea Change Online. Get into YouTube and subscribe. Over 1,500 subscribers we have, and almost every day one video is getting released. Especially during COVID days, several videos are getting released. And we have a footprint in a few countries outside India as well. Across India we travel, outside India we travel to serve our clients. With this short note, I thought I will stop here, and I'd like to introduce Mr. Rama Vallavan. Mr. Rama Vallavan is a management technical advisor. He's the founder of JVR Consultants. Over the 35 years he's been in the industry, with the 20 years as a working senior person in an organization, multiple organizations, electronic, finance, engineering, and multiple other sectors. And over the last 15 years, he has created a huge knowledge base, expertise. One of the things what he has done is every year he gets certified himself. He's a continuous learner. The last 15 years, he has secured 15 international certifications and Indian certifications. And he's the Quality Control of India QCI's Z Master Trainer. And he's an international trainer and coach on IATF 16949 and ISO series, ISO standards, series of standards. And he's also an MSME and mid-cap expert in the areas of production, R&D, innovation, quality, inventory, so on and so forth. He calls himself as a, both management and technical advisor, not just about only technical. You could find a lot of technical advisors in the marketplace. But one thing what differentiates Mr. Ramavalan from rest of the people is he always brings management inputs, leadership inputs, blend with technical expertise which he has built over the last 35 years. With that, I'd like to leave this session to Mr. Ramavalan to handle the deliverables. After the session is over, first 45 minutes or 50 minutes, even you can take up to maximum of 1 hour. This is a 1.5 hour session. So the last portion of the session, we will have a Q&A session. So those who have any questions, even at this point in time or during the course of the session, you kindly make a note and put it in the chat room. And I will keep watching over is typing it out. I'll take these questions and during the Q&A, I'll post these questions to Mr. Ramavalan to enlighten us. Over to Mr. Ramavalan. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, screen is shared. You will be able to see the screen. Hello, you are able to see the screen, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, fine. I just wanted to have a confirmation.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you all. Very good morning to all of you. Thank you, Mr. Anand. Thank you, SeaChange, for giving me a great opportunity to contribute something that I could share with the people. Thank you. So this is regarding manufacturing and process optimization. Manufacturing and process optimization. So here we start with survive. See here with regard to survive, see everything in the eyes of cash. So I used to tell people, whoever working in the organization, here there is no separate management or management means that is they are not the only the topmost people who are promoting the organization. It is the people whoever is attached to the organization, that is where we talk them as interested party. Everybody is a contributor to the organization's well-being, which is in fact, mutually it is benefiting us. Because of us, because of it, we are also enjoying the luxury whatnot in our life. So it is whoever is working in the organization, we have to see that as our family. So see everything in the eyes of cash. What is mean by that? Now to start with, first of all, to survive today, the situation is very, very difficult. We are all undergoing a very tough situation. This is where we need to be very, very cautious, and in fact, we need not even fear about it. But if we take certain strategic decisions, we can definitely get through this situation. So here is where at the very first step, we need to list out what are the needs and wants. So needs are the one, it is inevitable, it is must, without which certain things cannot happen. That is most important to get something happen. Wants are those maybe next to luxury, or it could be a luxury. If that is available, yeah, fine, it is better. So needs, where are all the area you can see the needs? See, when I go to an organization, some people used to call me for some business process development. They have certain issues for which they wanted to improve their performance, etc. So they used to call me. So I will first just get into the factory, go around the factory. Say for example, when I get into the where they will not even see the yellow line will be there, rack will be there, the rack would have been full, and the parts will be on the corridor. So when I ask why it is happening, means they say that it is all for used for next production, etc., etc. Then still, if I go further, I used to ask them what for these products are, these materials are. They say, sir, some a year back or 2 years back, we got this for some project, but somehow this project has not realized, because of which this got held up. Then why can't you clear it off? Sir, probably, this may be used for next project. We are looking forward for the project. We are talking to the customer, this, that, etc. They need to talk. Here is where the organization generally do not have, I will not generalize, but what is happening is they do not have a clear-cut definition of what are slow moving, what are dead stock. So earlier, before this COVID period, we may be having a luxury of, this will be used anyway. This will be used anyway. Likewise, people would have been kept material for quite long time. Now, today, we cannot have that kind of luxury. So identify the parts. You just take a stock. You even, so even some people whoever is sitting, waiting for the organization to open. Some people, some area, still the organization is not open, but still, people may be having things in their laptop. So identify, list out what are the items can be sold out. Earlier you were thinking that this could have been used for the some projects, but it has not moved in. Today you just make a list, you just sell it off. You can even publish to the public, wherein some people may be needing of those material, who may be trying for those material, and they were not able to get it. Some people would have when they went to the market, they said that it is all outdated, it is not available right now. So suddenly those people, to their surprise, you will be highlighting that such things are available in next door. So you can complement. Likewise, you clear it up. By clearing it up, you will get more space for you to keep other materials into the whatever is need to be used. Those things can be properly preserved and kept. So this is with regard to the stores area. Similarly, when you walk around in the shop floor, you will be finding, certain, even the machineries, certain machineries, they may be of non-performing. Those items you can find out. Those items you can find out if at all really it can be serviced and put in place, or if certain things, if things are not going to of any use, those things can be sold out. Similarly, when you are making a purchase decision, let us come to the purchase decision. When you are coming to the purchase decisions, you sometimes, instead of buying 100, if you go for 200, still it is worth, let us buy it. Today we cannot spend not even a single rupee extra. At the same time, we cannot even have a luxury of putting a single rupee in the dustbin. So clearly you need to attach each and every purchase to a project, whatever the project, whatever the order you are catering to, that only it has to match it. There will not be any cushion into that, except for that cushion, probably the percentage of rejections you may foresee in the particular process, that you may have to anyway account. So such way, you should not even run out of stock for running a normal production line. That also to be taken care. And secondly, the decisions, yesterday, in fact, I was going through some video where, a street wala who is having a luxury of taking decision on selling a normal flower. He purchase it for 7 rupees and sell it for 10 rupees. And if he see someone's face is okay, fine, he may even give them discount. There he takes a decision. He is a CEO there. Here in our so-called organized sector, we are having a lot of levels of tiers of decision making. So certain decision making process has to be we have to set a process wherein, when the people follow the process, automatically things will be moving. The people will not be waiting for the decisions. So that also need to be taken care. Next, identifying and digging out cash from your system which has gone out of sight. Here already I have touched upon something on the very first one, needs and wants. There itself you would have removed certain things. Here also, if you see, we need to do a clear cut 5S. We can make use of a lot of lean principles. I'm going to get into that. You need to do a clear cut 5S, where you need to square feet by square feet area, you have to map your organization. In your organization, nothing can be sitting over there without a visa. So if I need to come to your organization, I need to undergo a lot of things. So earlier it was only a gate pass, a visitor pass. Today there are a lot of things required for me to enter into into an organization. Similarly, in your organization, without your notice, or one day it has gone into one place, or no one has gone there, because of which it is all sitting idle. When you completely map your total square feet by square feet of your organization, at your surprise, there will be a lot of gold, platinum, diamond, whatever you call, those things will come out. Including the one I was telling in the stores area. No, I was telling one simple area. Here, what I'm trying to tell is you have to map your complete organization. There, some non-performing equipment will crop up. Certain material which you are searching in the market, which has gone out of stock, those stock will be available in your organization. In one organization, when I simply implemented ISO 9001, what I simply did, it was a plastic injection molding organization. Sorry. It was a plastic injection molding organization where, people used to walk through the material itself. There, I just implemented 5 years wherein product category wise, when we sorted out and organized, to our surprise, around 35,000 worth of material, which at times they stopped the machine and went to the market and bought those material. Such material was available in one particular corner. Other than that, there were certain other material which were not used for their own project, but those projects were those materials were sold out to the other injection molding people, by which they took around 50,000 worth of material. See, for example, here itself I have we have identified around 80 to 90,000 worth of material, by which, people need not pay for the consulting. They can the consultant people can earn out of it. In fact, we people never wanted to earn something. We never wanted to get something from the people. We wanted to earn, actually. So when we go to the person, when you can identify in your organization where this kind of item are where you can map it out and you can dig out this kind of items, by which, you can sell it out and generate cash. Here, for the survival, we are working to generate cash. How you will generate cash? Without doing anything from your organization, there is a possibility, depending upon your organization context, the magnitude of cash generation differs. Then coming to identify and remove the cash block. This is the one area where we need to very much concentrate, where, because of certain simple reason, certain materials in supply chain will be blocked. Because of certain documentation, certain materials may not be able to move out from the organization. There may be a lot of finished goods in your organization. For the simple reason of some documentation, it will not move out of the organization. These are all the things which we need to be have a grip of our statutory requirements and other things. So that because of this, we putting all the our efforts when parts are not moving out, it is all total mere waste. And one more thing, from the customer end, they might have raised certain customer feedback or customer complaints, because of which your next delivery or certain things are not entering into their customer place. It is all getting blocked there. So we may be on the customer complaint, we uh, taking a lot of time, or because of various reasons that would not been addressed, because of which it will go to the extent that our as a supplier we may get blacklisted. So when you identify those areas wherein you can have a proper customer complaint handling process, and or a customer care process, you can have such a process in which the ball should be rolling. The ball should be people should not wait for the decision, material should not wait for the decision, the movement of things should not decision. So when you take care of this kind of blockages, the cash will get generated. Otherwise what happens, your material will go get stuck at the customer place. Already you are committed for 30 days credit, 45 days credit, 60 days credit, but 30 days are not happening in 30 days. It goes to 45 days, further it goes to 60 days. When this kind of blockages also add to the our fire, what happens? So these are all the area where your cash is getting blocked. So now needs and wants, digging out the cash by mapping your whole organization by square feet. Your complete clear cut fires to be taken care, by which you have to generate the cash out of it. Then identifying the roadblocks of your cash flow, by which you can start breathing. Next, we are moving to stabilize. Here is where harnessing resources and taking the leverage on them. What is the mean by this? We have a lot of potential resources in terms of human resource, infrastructure, even the budget. There will be a lot of resources. For the want of time, identifying some three areas on which I would like to throw certain lights, and that too, I'm thinking that I have certain experience which I would like to share. See, we need to leverage the complete potential of the human resource. Human resource is the greatest asset. We have in certain area we may be underutilizing them. We may not be recognizing their potential. They will be coming out with very good projects, but at times those things may not be encouraged, because of which we are not tapping their potential. See, with relevant to their education, competence, skills, what we can do is we can identify certain projects for them. In our organization, there will be lot of area where we are underperforming. We need to identify the underperforming area. Where are all the area we are underperforming? So many of you must be knowing about this PQCDMS: productivity, quality, cost, delivery, morale, and safety. So where our productivity is getting stuck, where the quality is getting stuck. In the earlier slide, I was talking about customer complaint. There may be certain internal complaints also, which is pulling out your business efficiency, wherein it is eating away your operation cost. When the rejections go high, it it adds up to your burden on losses, etc. So you identify the people who can put in certain projects in terms of productivity or in terms of quality. With that, you make them engaged. This is where we have the leadership in ISO 9000. Also, it is told the leadership involves engagement, supporting, and directing the people. So we need to direct the people, we need to identify the clear-cut potential of the people, and we need to tap those potential. Anyway, we are, they are available to us, identify the projects, give to them. Say, for example, suppose a product line is there, you are expecting some 100 per hour as the output, but you are able to get only 80. So what you need to do, you run through the process, identify where is the bottleneck. Certain area, say for example, process A, B, C is there. A is taking 5 seconds, B is taking 10 seconds, other one is taking 5 seconds. So this 10 is the bottleneck. 10 seconds, which the process which is taking 10 seconds is the bottleneck. So that area, what is to be done? How to reduce that bottleneck? Sometimes, with easy calculation, they will add another machine or another person to divide it. This is simple mathematics. Anybody can do it. What way you can improve the process itself so that it will come down to 5 seconds? So that 5 the process will get ready. Likewise, you need to identify certain area and hand over to the people, form teams, empower them, recognize them. That is very important. Recognize them so that they will get motivated, they will get involved, they will get raised to passion. More than the interest, the involvement, people should work with the passion. When you achieve this passionism with the human resource, nothing like that. Okay. Moving on to the infrastructure. On the infrastructure, whatever the mission or the machinery or whatever the infrastructure you have, it has to deliver the intended output. That is very, very important. Here is where you have to take the advantage of industrial engineering. You need to do time study. You need to have cycle time study. In one organization, they wanted to implement some TPM. That time I went to this organization to assess. When I assessed that organization, I was asking them, do you have cycle time for this particular mission? He said, sir, this is the mission purchased some 6 months back. For this, it is not available. For all other missions we have. Okay, fine. I left it there. I went to other area. I asked them, what is, whether do you have cycle time for this mission? Yeah, sir, we have definitely. They have shown me it has run for 4 hours and they have taken an output of some 100 kg or so. Okay, fine. For 1 hour, how much it should take? Do you have any norms for that? Likewise, we don't have, sir. This is what we have. This is what we call it as cycle time and other thing. What is this? So, some people, I'm not exaggerating. I'm not exaggerating. It is all happening in the organization. Then, why I am pointing out here is whatever the machine you purchase, the purchasing, whenever you are making a purchasing decision, what is the demand you have in the market for which you are going to purchase, you are going to purchase this particular machine? What is the cycle time for this machine? And what is the capacity? What is the capability? What is capability? It has to deliver a quality output. It is not the question of it works for 8 hours and deliver some hundreds or 2 pieces as a rejection. Even 2 pieces I cannot tolerate. The customer is not going to pay for the rejected piece, right? So whenever you purchase a machine, before even you are purchasing the machine, you need to clearly understand its capacity and capability. Then when it comes into your place, the very first thing what you need to do is once you make the setup, you need to take the cycle time first. Cycle time is very, very first, very, very important. Cycle time is very, very important. Machine wise, you should have cycle time. Based on that, whenever the customer asks for some delivery schedule, based on that only you have to give commitment. Customer may not be liking no. You should be having a guts and the method to convince him that no is always should be accepted. Sometimes what is happening, just for the sake of persuasion of the customers, we just say yes for everything. Ultimately, we are earning customer dissatisfaction. So unless and until you know what is available in the organization's capacity and capability, you cannot commit any delivery schedule. So this is where you have to have a grip of the cycle time, like time study, method study, motion study, all those things you need to do. With that, you have to ensure that that particular infrastructure, whatever the designed productivity has been designed for that particular infrastructure, whether that is ensured or not, that you have to see. Next is the visual factory. Visual factory. You should not see your whenever your customer is asking for an inquiry. First of all, we need to invite him to our factory rather than we go there and discuss. And rather, he comes to our place instead of showing him some PPTs in the conference room. He has to be taken to the shop floor. Your shop floor wall should speak. Your product should speak. Your the documentation, whatever I was referring, that is what I referred as your wall should speak. Your shop floor should speak. Your product should speak. Your process should speak. Your down level, whoever is touching the product and manufacturing the product, he should speak. He should speak. That will give him the confidence of enrolling you as his potential supplier. Okay. So on visual factory, what we need to do? You should have a clear-cut 5S. Labeling system should be there. Lot identification, traceability should be there. This will avoid, a lot of searching time, movement time. Sometimes, in between there will be a lot of trolleys, bins, etc., etc. People will be making a circuitous route and do that. So these are all the things which will take a lot of time. This is where you can crack time also. Otherwise, how your process will get completed in a short span of time. This is how you can optimize your process. So on the documentation side, when there is a document, for example, a person is going, this is what has happened. I checked with an person. In front of him, some SOP is there. It is told, the SOP should be in the operator's understandable language, all those stuff we are talking about. They have nicely made Tamil, Hindi, English, three languages they have made. When I checked out with the operator, what is written here, he called someone in the next machine. He called him to explain. So I said, it is all fine, accepted, but we need to ensure that particular operator to explain what he is doing. He need not read the SOP. SOP is not meant for reading every time, referring and doing the job. SOP is for a general reference. The person, whoever is working there, he should know what he is doing. First of all, he should know which customer is using his product, where this is being applied, what is the function of this process, why he need to carry out that process in that manner. So whenever your customer is going to having around in the shop floor, he interviews a person. The person is expected to tell all these things. He need not read the SOPs. So this way, the people will get confidence. The customer will get confidence. Even the operator, they will also get recognized and will be happy to get enrolled into that. As I told you, they will do with the job with the passion. Then the lean concepts. On the lean concepts, we have you need to make use of value stream mapping. While you doing while you do a value stream mapping, clearly you need to identify the value additions and not non-value addition job. When you clearly identify the value additions and non-value additions job in your process, when you weed out the non-value additions job, your process will get automatically optimized. This is not a one-time job. This has to be done regularly. How this can be done regularly? You should have a constant touch with the customer. Sometimes what happens, in your process, you may be having a bend or notch to be done in one particular area. This notch was required some time back. He was having certain other project. In that project, this notch was used. Today, in his other, wherever this product is getting integrated, there this notch has no significance. So when you go there, when you have a constant touch with him, no particular notch may not be required for this particular thing. By which you can eliminate that notch. That will reduce your cycle time. So why this value stream mapping or this lean concepts to be applied time to time? Whatever I told you here, this productivity, visual factory, and lean concepts, everything has to be reviewed on a periodic basis. These are all not a one-time job. These are all not a one-time job. It has to be reviewed periodically. Say, for example, sometimes in the I was telling you, all should speak. People will be putting posters when it is getting outdated or something. No, when something else new comes, they don't remove it. Your walls will get flooded with a lot of posters. That is also not acceptable. So this is where you need to review it. On the lean concepts, once again, on the when I was talking about value stream mapping, this value stream mapping also to be carried out time to time. That is where current state and future state, will always be going hand in hand. This can be done in a cyclic form. Suppose you are having some five product lines. Let us assume first you applied this value stream mapping in one product line that is going now. Then once that current state to future state has been realized, you just move to the another product line. Here you do now. Then once you completed the future state, allow it to go. Somebody has to monitor for its effectiveness, then move on to the third one. By doing this, by sixth month or seventh month, you will come down to the first product line once again. This way, this is a routine cyclic process. This has to take place on continuous basis. So this is where we can enhance the productivity and optimize your process. Then another thing is effective utilization of the budget. There are two cases. One, people say that I don't have budget, and some people say budget is there, but appropriate project is not identified, or appropriate entity or item is not been identified for which we will use this budget. There are two things. Both are coexisting actually. Here, what I can say is, I have already told on the project identification and handing over the projects to some people while harnessing the human resource. Here is where you need to clearly, whenever people are coming with a project, the people has to come with a clear-cut one-page report. Like, what is the objective? You are encouraging them for entering into some project. They are coming out with some project. How they have to come and represent to you? One is, what is the objective of the project, by which what they are going to gain at the end. That should be a single line focus for taking any project. Then what is the methodology they are going to adopt? List them. What are the resources required? List them. Then what is the expected budget required for that? What are the commercials required for that? Then very important, return on investment. What is the return on investment by doing this project? So you have to see in terms of what are all the resources they have asked, what are the costs you are going to invest on the resource, and what is the expected return on investment on them. Based on that, you release the budget. So by which you identify the improvement projects. For those improvement projects, you need to allocate budget. Other one is the maintenance. There are a lot of underperforming machines. When the machine is running and giving some output, it is not enough. When a machine is running and it is giving an output, it is not enough. What it is supposed to give, whether it is working towards its required productivity level, if that is okay. What is the OEE, overall equipment effectiveness? What is OEE? It is performing. And how about the MTBF and MTTR? Mean time between failure and mean time to repair. This kind of measurables are there for maintenance. So you need to budget for the machinery also. By say for example, by investing some 100 rupees, if you are able to get some 1000 rupees out of it, identify those. Properly use those budget. Budget is there. That is also you need to harness the budget. Like you are harnessing the human resource, like harnessing your infrastructure. You need to harness the budget also. See, by which you can generate another budget also. By say for example, as I told you, by investing 100 rupees, you are going to get 1000 rupees. Out of 1000 rupees, 800 rupees use for other expenses. Another 200 rupees put for this improvement budget. So this way, from the budget itself, you can generate another budget. By improvement projects, you can generate another funds for this budget allocation. This way you can get into this uh, budget also you can harness. Similarly, on the training, very very important. Earlier, in very olden days, when people don't have production, they will be engaged with training. Today, that is not sufficient. Here, we have taken the people. People are ready to work. They are very much motivated. People are ready to work. We need to identify which are all the area we need to provide them training so that they can get lifted to a higher level of effectiveness and efficiency. So we need to have a consistent TNS, training need analysis. You have to have a continuous training need analysis, out of which you need to identify the area. For the namesake, you should not have any training. See, for example, when there is a customer complaint, as I was telling you, there are certain rejections, certain machines are not performing to the level. There, people are not able to get that addressed. To that, match your training calendar or training titles, or it can be an on-the-job training also. It need not be always classroom training. It can be on-the-job training. It can be, they may have to be sent to certain machine manufacturers place. There they may have to get some training to properly understand the machinery where they are working. So likewise, you need to identify the training needs for the people by correctly tying up the training versus their performance. You can ensure that the training can be really, the provided training can be really monitored for its effectiveness. Most of the time, what is happening, people are sucking up with the effectiveness. There are even ISO 9000 people used to ask me how to do this training effectiveness, because when the training effectiveness, when you are not able to do clearly, that means your training plan itself is not clear. You have to tie it up with the effectiveness. Only when you tie it up with the effectiveness, you can plan the you can ensure that the effectiveness has been achieved. Without achieving, without even deciding an objective of why you are going to provide such a training, how come you will do the effectiveness? So as I was telling you, if there is a rejection, if there is a process is underperforming, if a machine is underperforming, if he is not much capable enough to handle that particular process, identify those, provide the training, then monitor whether it is acting as per or not, as per that or not, so that you can see the effectiveness clearly. So for which also you need to allocate the budget. So with this, human resource harnessing is done, infrastructure harnessing is done, effectiveness, effective utilization of the budget is done. By doing this, you can stabilize. Earlier, we worked on survival, where we identified the cash, we tried to generate the cash, then we moved on to stabilization, then we are moving to surge. Here is our, this is also very, very important. Innovate and diversify. Innovate and diversify. Whomever I meet, the entrepreneurs, I used to tell them, please do not rely on one particular product. Please do not rely on one particular customer. Focus on diversification. Focus on diversification. So diversification can be in the terms of even the marketing, the product diversification, and a lot more innovations on the technology. On that also you can diversify. And when I talk about this diversification, generally people used to say, sir, that is not my cup of tea. Here is where I used to tell people to take the advantage of SWOT analysis: strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat. Strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat. Most of you must be knowing about it. Here is where I used to put it in different way. Instead of starting with the strength, you start with the opportunity. What you know is not at all important to any of the people. I mean here, market. Market is not interested about what we know. Market is not at all interested what we are also. We need to make the market to turn around us. How we will make them to turn around us? We need to identify the market's appetite. What the market wants. There we need to see the opportunity. What is the opportunity we have? To that opportunity, what we don't have? Area of improvement. I will not say it is weakness. Areas of improvement. What we need to do so that we can be prepared ourselves to cater that particular market. Here is where even in ISO 9001 there is a very beautiful clause. This time they have added organization knowledge. 7.1.6 is the class number, organization knowledge, where they tell whatever the competence level of people you have with them, whatever you are able to do it, you do it. Whatever need to be brought from outside, you bring from outside. So when you wanted to innovate, when you wanted to move on to some different technology product, there are a lot of domain experts available. Hire them. Hire them. See, whenever you are identifying an area for which every time you may go into a situation where this area I may not be knowing. But who else knows about it? Let us take the advantage of them. So adopt a new technology to innovate a product. A product should be a solution for a problem. A product should be a solution for a problem. So look around the world. Where are all the problems exist? The people may not be knowing the problem. Whatever they are working on, no, they feel that it is their way of work. In general, in this regard, I used to tell this example, which will be easily liked by many people. In olden days, people were cooking with fire woods. So in winter season, it will behave in one manner. Summer season, it will behave in one manner. So one operator has to stir it continuously for cooking the rice. For cooking the rice, they will be having a pot, some rice and water. The excess water they have to remove it. Every time they have to stir it. All those stuff. So this a person has saw what is the requirement. The rice has to be boiled. Okay. Here in the current process there is no consistency in the product output. So he replaced the firewood into a gas stove where sim to high can be done, and he replaced the pot into cooker. Now 2 cup rice, 4 cup water, 3 whistles or 4 whistles as you please. The process consistency has been made. So there was a problem which the people themselves doesn't realize that it is a problem. So a person has identified this as a solution, by which most of the cases there may not be a real-time customer coming to you, giving you some requirements, specification, etc., etc., etc. You generate customers. You diversify product. See, today when I was telling that time to diversify, people were talking like that. Today you see everybody has jumped into this sanitizer manufacture, automation, this, that, etc. I am not discouraging this event, but what I observe here is, it is my humble opinion, I may be wrong. What I observe here is, this curve will go very steep and suddenly it will saturate. I see now itself it got saturated. It got a surge. The real surge has taken in this. The what you call the corona has taught us to innovate, and this surge has cropped up. Now everybody is getting into this. Here is where I tell you, everybody were into this, but one person, he has identified on that can we do something. So a person, made a photograph of that particular person, whoever is going to wear a face mask. Okay, whoever is wearing a face mask. On that, he has taken the photograph of the person and printed on it. So this is another area. Why to jump in the same area? Let us innovate in this. This is also innovation. And there is there are another kind of people who are making in silk cloth of different colors. Now there is always people who will match to their other wears, so according to their saree and this thing, they will match and they will do it. So these kind of innovations are also coming. The first person whoever comes, that is the person who is doing innovate. Rest of the people, they are just copying or modulating something and coming into this. Here is where, the surge is taking on this, and the curve will come down very fast. It is very difficult. So you need to identify the area where you can do a unique in your product. You need to make people slave into the product. You identify the area, adopt technology, and get into that, and diversify your product. Once you are diversifying the product on the marketing front, here we need to do a lot of things. For example, I think 2 days back, one Mr. Ilongo was doing something on this digital marketing. There are a lot of innovation is taking place on the marketing. Where you are positioning your product, that is very important. You manufacture with a product with a lot of, in the manufacturing line, people will be familiar with a lot of firefighting, with a lot of this thing. You are manufacturing a product. If you don't know how to project or position the product in the market, then how this will get sold out. So you have to make the advantage of the digital marketing. There are marketing domain experts are there. See, you need not even, depending upon your product, I will not say that you should not have a marketing department as such. You can even hire the marketing domain experts, who will, depending upon your product, they will be able to properly position, promote your product, by which your product could be diversified. With the marketing personnel, you can make a survey also, like you can have a system of giving you certain inputs. What is the pulse of the market? What else they wanted? By which, you can innovate certain other product and adopting certain other technology. Whenever you wanted to diversify to any new product, you need not worry that you are not into that particular product. As I'm once again repeating you, what you know is not at all important. What the market wants, that is important. So that is where you should always keenly watching on the opportunities and identify your weakness. Those weakness fill up with the domain experts, by which you will move on to the strength. Whenever there is a threat, use once again the same marketing people. There may be a challenges, there may be a competition, there may be the threat may be in the form of any kind of like as I told you, competition or anything. You make the use of the domain expert to kill those threats, by which you will always move on to the strength. Once you achieved this strength, you can definitely work on the move ahead, and you can definitely show a surge into your business. So every year, year by year, when you make a surge in your business, nothing like that. It is what you call sky is the limit. I think that this is where I would conclude my presentation. Hope you might have got the adequate input. I am leaving it to the people for questions, and Mr. Anand can also come out with some questions, whatever is coming out with the chat box.
Definitely. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Ramamalan, sir. Very nicely you finished. Of course, you finished on time. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
We have close to about 30 participants in this webinar in WebEx, and there are a lot more in the Facebook Live. So now I request the participants to kindly share your questions in the chat room so that I can take these questions and ask Mr. Ramavalavan. Meanwhile, I think I can ask on behalf of some of the people who have shared with me through WhatsApp. So the first question goes like this. In the survey slide presentation, they're asking like, when you were talking, you talked about on digging out some of the hidden cash which is there in organizations, and can you elaborate more on how would you help MSME on that, MSME organizations on that?
Yeah. In that slide, when I was explaining, you might have seen that you have to square feet by square feet, you need to scan the organization. I mean, you know, when you are having some problem, you go to the doctor. So he during the diagnosis process, what he does, he scans the total body and identifies what is the real problem area. So the symptoms and other thing, what creates this problem. So likewise, we cannot move around here and there. We just inch by inch we scan the organization. So there, when you are doing this process, there may be in the along with the work in progress, you will be finding some finished goods also. Some those finished goods, you know, they would not have gone into the stock even. And sometimes this also has happened. The customer has requested for some X numbers. They have sent short of some numbers. It should have been invoiced. It should have been invoiced. It is a lively things are happening. I'm not exaggerating anything. You must be knowing with regard to the integrity. I cannot name the organization. It is all happening in a day-to-day life itself. It is happening now. We are in the phase of identifying some cash and remove some cash where no payment is coming for our factory now. This is the time where we can generate funds. So now when you go around the factory, you will find some this kind of goods by which you can clear it off and make money out of it.
Okay. So that has given me another trigger, like you said in the presentation, that normally, when you hire experts, typically I'm actually echoing the voice of MSMEs. My profile is all about working with MSMEs over the 2 decades. So MSMEs current situation, they are not in a position to hire experts to pay money, because they themselves are in deep trouble. First, they have to look after themselves. They have to pay salaries and maintain the operational expenditure and things like that. Payments are stuck. We are all stuck at home in this situation, but they need experts' view. They need advice. They need a kind of a brain picking, for example. Because everybody is in a gloomy state where they want this is the time experts like you and me have to extend our support, like how we are doing through this webinar. But beyond, this is only a knowledge sharing platform. This is not a solution sharing platform. We only share some potential solution in the form of knowledge. But practically, for every organization, we need to really visit, or we need to take a video tour, virtual tour, to identify their internal issues so that you'll be able to offer some solution. You mentioned in the presentation that a real good expert need not actually have to take money upfront, but then actually they can generate revenue from the solution being offered, by which they can have better saving. From that saving, they can actually pay the consulting fee so that they don't really feel the pain. Is my understanding correct?
Yeah, definitely. You are through. I can answer now.
Please.
Yeah, this is where I was telling you. I was mentioning you. We need not, as you told, the MSMEs are in really in deep trouble. Here we cannot give them another burden. Here we have to generate funds for them. We can definitely generate funds for them. We are going there with unbiased person. Unbiased person. The people who are, even if you come to my place, you may be identifying a lot of things which I myself don't know. So we are going there as an unbiased person and identifying certain cash within them. So dig out those cash. See, for example, when you go to the scrapyard, just you go to the scrapyard. From scrapyard, we can generate some gold and platinum.
Correct.
Scrapyard, we can. It is not that selling out the scrap and getting something. With the scrapyard, we can generate some infrastructure inside, by which we can generate some funds here. It is not that just selling the scrap. Some people may think if we go to scrapyard, we sell. They may be knowing by selling the scrap they will generate some funds. It is not like that.
Correct.
Not like that. See, I was talking about visual factory. On visual factory, when I was creating a visual factory, what I have done, I went there. There were some plastic. There were some metal sheets. Take those metal sheets, cut in the form of A3 size of paper. Then there were some metal channels. With that, I clearly made one stand, painted with neat yellow paint, painted all the machines also. And aside the machine, these yellow stands were brightly with very good contrast. It is there, and A3 paper visual SOPs were made. You never believe that we not even spent a single paisa for it. Welding machine is with them. This is at the scrapyard. Customer is telling that your place is so shabby or something. We don't see professionalism inside. The professionalism were created without spending a single money, because they themselves have the metal sheet. They are having the welding machine. They had a subcontractor who was doing powder coating. He said that he has done it with the powder coating. Why you have done it with powder coating? Or normal paint you should have done. No, sir, I have already having a subcontractor where, along with the products, whatever he is doing for me, along with that, I kept this. While I am spraying, when I was powder coating that, this also got automatically done. So you see, without a single paisa, we can do it. When people think of some experts, they think that, we are going to give them more burden like professional fees or something like that. It is not like that. We generate funds for them. From that, we will take.
Okay. That's a very positive and good news at this point in time, at least in the COVID situation. So the next question, before I go to the next question, which I received now in WhatsApp, I also request participants to kindly share your questions in the chat room so that I can pick up those questions and ask Mr. Ramavalavan. So the next question is, you talked about needs and wants. Yeah. This is more of philosophical, philosophical statement. I don't know how this is connected to business.
It is very much connected to business. From house, we go to the industry. From industry to industry, we go to the government or big society. Even in our house, before COVID period, we had a lot of outings. And we purchased whatever we saw. And even the needs, today's certain needs, that is all going to the wants. Today's needs, certain things are going into wants. I'll tell you a simple example. People go to the market. They are asking for some vegetables. They say 80 rupees, 100 rupees, something like that. Okay, today if I go and purchase for half kg or 3/4 of kg, something may go waste, or it may be additional this thing. Let us purchase only half kg. Let us purchase only quarter kg. Okay. See, these needs are going into the wants. Similarly, in our purchase decision also, flimsy and flamsy, with our authority, we were signing purchase orders. With our authority, we are signing purchase order. What I'm trying to tell here, you make a process in which, what is the order you got, what is the customer order you got, what is the coverage in your shop floor. Earlier, coverage is this much, we need only 100. Okay, while purchasing, you go and buy 200. For next one, we can use it. Not an issue. These were the decision in the pre-COVID period.
Okay.
Today, we cannot do that.
Mm.
100 means 100. If not 100, take 120, no issues. But it is not. It cannot be 200.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
we were not at all knowing the borderline between these needs and wants all these days.
Mm. Mm.
Now we should have a clear definition for these needs and wants. As I pinpointed in between, we should have a clear-cut policy for what is slow moving and what is non-moving. 5 years cannot be slow moving. The stock which is lying for 5 years, it cannot be slow moving. I can challenge you now. If I walk through some factory, 10 out of 1 factory, I can tell you. I wanted to be pessimistic. 10 out of 1 factory, I can tell you, 5 years of material will be sitting there as slow moving. But
Oh.
there is no clear cut definition anywhere.
Mhm.
So here is where those things has to be definitely highlighted to wants. This wants has to be sold out.
So, which means very well articulated.
Yeah.
So we have 30 participants here, which means 30 companies, which means 3 companies are coming under this bracket of red zone. Just a joke. So I'll ask the other point. See, with respect to MSMEs, see, we have been supporting them in whatever best possible way. I mean, all consultants, experts. There are hundreds and thousands of consultants across the country, across the globe, are trying to do whatever the best they can. Actually, in your experience, this current COVID crisis, because once the lockdown is lifted, maybe from 1st June, I don't know whether 5.0 is expected, but once that is lifted, of course, Coimbatore and other in Tamil Nadu, at least other districts like Coimbatore, Salem, these places people have already started moving around. Krishnagiri is already in green zone, but Chennai is completely in red zone. So Chennai clients, Chennai companies are in big trouble. What is the best immediate immediate starting point for any MSME companies once the lockdown is lifted? What are the top 3 things from manufacturing point of view or optimization, process optimization point of view they have to start doing immediately, but within first 1 week, 10 days, 15 days time? Is there any thoughts you have?
Yeah, definitely on the survival part, I have talked enough. I wanted to move it here. First of all, your productivity front, the cycle time and other thing, the projects, whatever you have, the timing you have to fix. If a process is going to get completed in 4 years, 4 hours, it has to complete it in 4 hours. That 4 hours cannot be stretched to 1 full day. There are occasions where they will be having only the half a day production. They will be stretching out to 8 hours of production. The rest, it has to be completed in 4 hours. In 4 hours, the rest 4 hours they have to be put in training or making the machine whichever is underperforming. Those machines has to be put in place. This kind of thing we have to do it very sincerely. And similarly, the effective utilization of budget, whatever I was talking now, this budget has to be very carefully utilized. These are the things I can tell you.
Okay. So
In this regard, I think I would like if the people are there, and in fact, I wanted to ask you some question here with regard to supporting in MSME.
Okay.
Can I go ahead?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. In my experience, most of the places, people are having problem in marketing.
Correct.
They are having very good product, but unfortunately, where they have to position, how to diversify, how to spread their wings on the market, there is a problem. The other one is the new technology and product diversification. When they come to product diversification, still they got stuck over there. How we can help them out on that? I think when you are talking, also you are also telling that with regard to some domain experts, and you have done some lot of projects also.
Yeah.
That if you could highlight those things, it will be beneficial for the participants.
Definitely, sir. This is one of the, you have actually touched a very, very important aspect of MSMEs, particularly. Large enterprises have the legacy of finance, budget, departments, experts to take care of the branding, to take care of corporate communication, to take care of marketing. They have a separate wing, marketing wing, chief marketing officer, CMO, large enterprises has. But whereas even if you look at America, how America is developed, we are talking about always America and Western world. They know how to market themselves pretty clear. They always say, in the IT field, Microsoft has excellent product. We are all using Microsoft. We have a gratitude towards that product because we are all using Windows and MS Office for all our day-to-day work. But all the more they say Microsoft is a marketing company first. Bill Gates knows how to market himself, right? But unfortunately, in the Indian context, our MSME organizations, most of them, in my opinion, I may be wrong, are technopreneurs. The technopreneurship to entrepreneurship is what the transition requires at this point in time in this country. Every entrepreneur whom we call are technopreneur, technically very sound. They themselves can do anything and everything in the organization. But unfortunately, most of them, you said one of the ratios like 1:10. I say from a sales and marketing background, I would say hardly about 20 to 30% of the people are actually knows marketing. At least then think of marketing. I would say 60 to 70% of MSME owners, business owners, really do not know anything about marketing. They always say we are so humble. The Indians are very, very humble in our own way. We don't want visibility. We always want credibility. We build our credibility quotient every time. We always say, our MSME business owners, when we talk, they say, sir, my product is good, my quality is good. That pride is there. If the customer wants, let him come and buy. This is a kind of, of course, it's a pride moment that you are very good in your product. But ultimately, you also need to reach out more people. Otherwise, you will become all through your life only micro. When do you really become an enterprise organization? If Dhirubhai Ambani would have thought only, why should I go reach out more people? I will do only a small way. It wouldn't be like this. 1.5 lakh crore or something like that. The organization is built, an empire which is built. Correct. So ultimately, my suggestion is we need to spend more time on marketing. The new normal for MSME business owners, in my understanding, is please spend 30 to 40% of your time on marketing. Here I say I have actually created certain ideas which I thought I will share it with you. First of all, who are you? I mean, this is an introspective question for every business owner. Who are you in terms of your organization? I'm saying it's not a philosophical question. It's about your organization. 2, what is your company stand for? Your company stands for what? One single line, if you could define, your company stands for this, that will give you a lot of visibility, that will give you a lot of clarity for you to build your marketing strategies. 3, are you building your communication around that concept? Suppose let's say, for example, I stand for MSME. At Sea Change, MK Anand, I stand for empowering MSME. That's my theme, which means, am I communicating to rest of my, everybody and anybody on this particular thing? That gives me a lot of clarity in terms of what needs to be communicated, how it has to be communicated. 3, 4, are you actually maximizing your strength on those areas? Many entrepreneurs are not maximizing their strength on that particular strength. Sometimes people actually focus more on strengthening their weakness. In my understanding, I think we need to strengthen our strength and we need to weaken our weakness. This is the 4th point. 5th, are you actually socializing yourself? Many entrepreneurs don't socialize. They don't go to any outside, web workshops or social networking, as they call. Today, of course, BNI and so many other institutions have come up. A lot of people are joining. But I don't find manufacturing organization business owners are participating. I could see a lot of professionals, independent professionals. I could see a lot of service industry people. For example, we are from service industry, right? We all go. We socialize with many networking areas. But manufacturing companies, they always say, sir, Morning 8:30, I go to factory. I work up to 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. I don't have time. One of the which I have learned from a very senior professional way back 10, 15 years ago, a great leader is the one who can insulate himself from daily chores. I repeat, a great leader is the one who can insulate himself from daily mundane chores. You need to create time. If you do the same job again and again, you get the same result again and again. You won't get different result. If you want different result, you need to do different inputting. It's a famous Einstein quote, right? It talks about insanity. So these are the 5 points I thought we need to. That's why for one of the experts in our panel also, 3-4 experts. One of the experts by name Rajesh Srinivasan, he is a marketing strategist. He always breathes on marketing and only marketing. Everywhere he talks about marketing strategy. All his communication you could see in LinkedIn and our social media also emphasizes more on marketing and marketing strategies. Probably down the line, we'll be having one of his sessions also on marketing strategies alone, exclusively. I hope I've answered your first part of the question, which is about marketing. The second part of the question is a technology, right? Technology adoption. See, Mr. Prakash, my partner and CEO, always quotes in the last 40 days, at least he would have repeated more than, I would say, 10, 12 times. Adaptability quotient. What COVID-19 taught all of us, teaching us, is adaptability quotient. We are able to operate everything at home. The same webinar we normally used to do in a conference hall in a hotel. Right? Today you are sitting at your home, I am sitting at my home, all of them are sitting at their respective places. Still the communication is happening, still the knowledge is being transferred at the comfort of our homes, which means the new normal is all about adaptability quotient. I think one strong message in the technology parlance, like how MSME owners, small business owners are not really inclined towards visibility quotient and marketing quotient. They are also not really moving towards digital quotient. Mr. Evango, who delivered session 2 days ago on digital transformation of MSMEs. It is available in our YouTube channel. You can go and watch if you suppose you missed it. He uses a word which is internationally people are using it. It's called digital MSME. We're talking about MSME, no? Are you a digital MSME? This one single question, it can, it will not have a, you will not sleep for next 2 days if you really start thinking on this. Are you a digital MSME or digital organization? With the moment you bring in digital in your day-to-day environment in the business, many things changes. I leave a simple 3 steps to you, to all the participants who are watching. Are you in LinkedIn? Are you in Twitter? Are you in Facebook? Leave alone Instagram. Of course, Facebook also mostly for personal thing, but service industry people can use Facebook for more mileage. But if you're a manufacturing organization, I think you should be in LinkedIn. You should get connected to one step above your position in the marketplace. For example, how many CEOs you know? You may not know physically, but you can get connected with them through LinkedIn. The C-suite leaders, as they call. Every large organizations, there are C-suite leaders. In fact, out of the 30 participants who are attending here, there is one senior management person is actually attending from a very large enterprises. He is very best friend of mine. I don't want to name him here. You can actually make it out. You can go and see the participants list, and if you can probably call out his name, I'm happy. He's representing one of the largest enterprise conglomerate of India. A very senior person. He's actually part of this session. If we are able to connect with such high caliber, high potential C-suite leaders, C-suite means CFO, CEO, CXO, CTO, COO, CMO, things like that. Imagine your status quo. You are able to now talk to 4 CEOs. We are only talking at a low ball, as they call in sales, low ball interactions, low ball communication. Why not we scale up ourselves to reach out? This is possible through digital at zero cost, at zero investment. After all, you have to spend 10-15 minutes in LinkedIn every day to build your network, to build your content. Over the next 3 to 4 months' time, for example, I have got 3,600 connections in LinkedIn. Mr. Prakash has got more than 10,000 or so, which is possible in LinkedIn. Imagine the kind of reachability. Have we spent any 1 rupee? I have not even spent 1 rupee. In fact, we enjoy posting content and reading content. We educate ourselves, empower ourselves. Does it make difference, sir?
Yeah, definitely.
So with that, I would like to leave the points here for participants, business owners to please think over. Immediately create your LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter account today if you're not. And if you're already having it, please start engaging. Not just liking and commenting. Create your own content, Tamil, English, Hindi, whatever language you are comfortable with. Keep posting. Post your company's brand. It's a subject altogether, and maybe if anybody is interested, they can always get connected with our earlier speaker, Mr. Yelango, for how to harness digital transformation in your organization. He may be able to help us out. Incidentally, he's also one of the participants. He's also attending this program, by the way. Thank you, Mr. Yelango, for joining. And with that, I thought I will walk them through another 2 slides. If you could come out of your slide, I will go to my slide. And
Yeah. Got it?
I am just changing it to one. One minute, sir. I'm just changing it. I have made you as a host. Can you please change to presenter? Then only I'll be able to open the slide. You can go to your login and right click, change to. You can go to the participant window.
Yeah, okay.
You can just change to, there is, you can right click and then change to.
Change to...
If you right click, you can find the feature called change to.
Change role.
Yeah. Make it as a presenter yourself. You make me as a host. Otherwise, you go to my this one name.
It is not highlighting. 1 second. You have a host. I will see this. I will see.
You see change Anand and right click, make me host.
Now I have done.
Yeah.
It should be okay now.
1 second, sir.
I made it. I made you as a host now.
1 second. Yeah, it's okay. I am just loading my. So, friends, we have come to the end of the session, and I hope you are able to see this. I hope you are able to see a slide which I shared now. Able to see this now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just go to presenter mode. It is in presenter mode.
Yeah, I presented now. There is a slide over there. I guess there is one question asked by somebody. So let me just find out. 1 minute. One of the I think asked for a question. I guess 1 minute. There is a person who is at PC. I don't know the name. As you say, the MSME may be strong technically, but they must be willing to learn what is happening around and apply to situations. That's a message he's giving. And then the sir, we are manufacturer. There is one person called Venkatesh, Mr. Venkatesh. Mentioned, sir, we are manufacturer having multiple units in India, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu under single entity, and our investment is more than 20 crores. But our turnover is below 50,000 crores. Shall we fall into MSME? Okay, please advise. Okay, Mr. Venkatesh, I will share my contact number in the end of this slide. You please speak to me offline. I'll be able to connect with you. I hope you would have registered Udyog Aadhar memorandum already. If not, you need to register immediately. I will help you out. There's a contact number at the end of the slide. I will help you out. Okay. I will quickly take 2 minutes to wind up this session. Friends who are watching this, we have moved into the new normal mode already. Because when we are helping others to learn new normal and the best practices, first we should do, right? So in the last 30, 40 days, we got into this new normal mode of providing everything through e-consulting. I must share my gratitude and the happiness to Cisco WebEx. Cisco WebEx has approached us when we took a resolution that we let us not use Zoom for this webinar because Government of India said Zoom is not safe. That day we started scouting around for a provider. WebEx came to know and they called me and they said we will provide you for next 90 days. So they have extended their support without any conditions, without any payment. Imagine the new normal, how it's working. Otherwise, WebEx login, getting enterprise edition, you need to really spend a lot of money. In fact, you think several times before you really, because when we host, who will come and attend when offline is happening elsewhere. So thanks to COVID, I would say in one way that WebEx has given us this experience. And many people started attending our webinar. We are able to host every single day like this. So thanks to them. So we already started moving into the e-consulting, e-coaching, e-strategy mode. People are very much available to support you if you want. On a private note, they can always do they help you out with the e-learning courses. In fact, he started offering e-learning courses exclusively for clients. So this is a model which we people like consulting companies are doing it. You could see two, input in the two sites. So one is 360. C360, you could notice. This is the one thing which we launched for checking the health of MSMEs. It's an online tool we launched some time ago, which will scan the entire organization in 15 areas using 27 parameters. It's an online tool. Less than 30 to 40 minutes, you will be able to get a complete picture of your organization. Of course, we take time of 2 to 3 days time to process the report. You spend 30 minutes time, and we will spend 2 days time for your report. And third day, you get a 20-page comprehensive report about your business health. It's called Master Health Scan of your business, which is a need of the work during this tough time like this. The second portion on the right side, you find SBA. We are strategic business advisors. Anytime you can approach us. Any inputs, whatever we are able to offer at no cost basis, we are willing to support you. I'm also holding the office of the MSME subcommittee as a chairman in Andhra Chamber of Commerce. So I have social responsibility. I have a commitment towards MSME and the social note as an NGO, as a volunteer. Feel free to connect with me anytime. You can WhatsApp me, phone me up. We will be able to support you. What are the best? For example, Mr. Venkatesh asked me about this MSME registration. I'll be able to help him out at best from our available resources. And we also developed a document called COVID-19 Health Guidelines to support MSME organizations and industries, which is available as a free download from our website, cchangeworld.com. The moment you type cchangeworld.com, it pops up immediately. You can just simply download it, that's all. The 20-page guideline as to how you can run your office organization with the COVID health inputs. This is prepared with the support of an organization called SIPACA, which is a health specialist group of doctors who are running ICU services across rural India, Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh. So they have given this support to us, like how WebEx is supporting, SIPACA is supporting SeaChange to help MSMEs to utilize health guidelines. We have contact numbers listed here, our executives' numbers. You can make a note of these two numbers and these two executives. Stay in touch with them so they'll be able to help you out. I'd like to end this session first thanking Mr. Ramavallavan for taking his time, preparing the slides, talking to me several times as to how we can really give value proposition to the participants. You have done a nice job, sir. Special gratitude from SeaChange. And with that, I'd like to end this webinar with the tomorrow's session by Mr. P.K. Raghunathan, who is a trainer and coach, both management and business. He's a thought leader. He's been in the industry for more than 2 decades. He's a very active LinkedIn person. You could visit P.K. Raghunathan LinkedIn account. You will learn a lot. Every day he writes. He's going to take a session on time structuring all of us know time management. He has come out with the concept, not his concept alone. He has done research on this called time structuring, then and now. Tomorrow morning, which is 27th May at 11 a.m. So I will see you back tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Till then, take care. Thank you very much, one and all, along with Mr. Mawala. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you, participants.